Good evening. It's 6 o'clock and the rain seems to have let up a little bit in the downtown area. Hopefully we will see some sunny skies coming our way tomorrow or later this week, but we will get to the weather forecast at 1:30, so stick around for that later on. In other news, we had Laura James in Buenos Aires, Argentina last week, meeting with Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, the president of Argentina, for our weekly Women of the World segment. Here's how it went.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today, Madam President.
My pleasure.
Over the course of your presidency, you've made many positive contributions to Argentina. However, I'm interested in how you got to where you are now. Let's start off by addressing why you became interested and who influenced you to embark on this ambitious journey.
Well, I was born to a middle-class family in the 1950s in La Plata, Buenos Aires. My mother was a Peronist, and as am I, so she may have influenced my political orientation a little bit. However, my father was anti-Peronist, so it may have been my schooling that led me in the direction I followed today.
Where did you attend school?
I studied law and politics at the National University of La Plata and graduated with a degree in law. I was also very involved in the Peronist youth movement at the university.
You met your husband and former president, Nestor Kirchner, during university, did you not?
Yes, we were both studying law. When we graduated, we moved to Santa Cruz and opened a private law practice together. I focused on law until I was elected to the Santa Cruz provincial legislature in 1989. That's when my focus once again returned to politics.
And in 1995, you were elected to represent Santa Cruz in Argentine Senate.
Yes, by 95, I was acting as senator and Nestor was governor of Santa Cruz. We were often compared to Bill and Hillary Clinton during this time.
Tell me how your husband being elected for president in 2003 played a role in your life.
Nestor and I were inseparable. Every decision he made, I influenced, and vice versa for my own decisions. I put a lot of work into gaining Argentine support for him during his presidency. We were each other's confidants in every aspect of our lives.
How did your husband stepping out of the run for the 2007 re-election change your life as a politician?
Well, once my husband stepped down, he fully supported me in my run for presidency. Like I said, we were each other's constant confidants. We agreed on many of the policies, so it was quite an easy decision for him to make in supporting my own run for presidency.
You won the 2007 election with a 22% lead over your closest opponent, Hilda Gonzalez. Did you take that as a sign that your term would go well?
One can only hope, but no, I knew I would have to work hard to keep the Argentine support that my husband had gathered. However, I felt that if my husband could bring the country through an economic crisis, I had quite a good chance of being able to succeed as president as well.
Since our talk is titled Women of the World, I'm sure our viewers would be interested in hearing about how you felt entering into a male-dominated political scene.
Well, there was an obvious sense of machismo that proved hard to deal with at times, yes.
Sorry, what is machismo?
Machismo is the strong feeling of masculine dominance that forms our nation's identity. The participation of women has been encouraged by the Ley de Cupo, which mandates that a certain percentage of candidates must be women, but many voters just assume that a male advisor is standing behind them, which is often the case. Many people incorrectly believed that was the case between Nestor and I as well.
So how have you helped Argentina to think less in this machismo way of thinking?
Well, I am a member of the Council of Women World Leaders, firstly, whose mission is to mobilize the highest level women leaders globally for collective action on issues of critical importance to women. I have also enacted laws to increase gender equality and am strongly involved in the defense of human rights. I strive to continually push Argentina in a progressive direction. I've tried to think openly regarding birth control and sexuality in particular, and I have shown that through legalizing same-sex marriage in Argentina. The first Latin American country to do so, in fact. I have also successfully witnessed a law go through allowing citizens to have their names and sexes legally changed without undergoing transgender surgery, an issue of great controversy still among many countries. Generally, I have always been very vocal against sexism, especially. Nestor would always joke that I wore the pants at home, which I would scold him for, yet be proud he thought of me as such an independent woman.
How is the legalization of same-sex marriage accepted by your country?
Well, the Roman Catholic Church was strongly opposed, along with some conservative groups. I felt that failure to pass the law would be a terrible distortion of democracy, and that the time had come for the Church to realize that the social norms were changing. But just as with any new legislation, there is bound to be opposition, but I felt that this decision was best for my country.
Many people find it interesting that you are so focused on women's rights and equality, yet you seem to fit into a very traditional gender role yourself.
Many have criticized me for wearing heavy makeup and expensive jewelry, but I've always gotten dressed up, caked on the makeup, and I'm not ashamed of it. Would I have to dress like I was poor in order to be a good political leader?
Of course not. But how do you answer to the people when they see you in designer clothes and flying in private jets while they are living in poverty?
The people must realize that I am trying to help their country prosper. Everything I do for the people of Argentina. I will not let these criticisms get in the way of my job as their leader.
Yes, I see you have used gender to your advantage in a very effective way. So other than overcoming gender discrimination, what have been your other greatest challenges since becoming president?
I would say gaining the support of my opposition has proven to be the hardest. It is hard for any president to receive the support of all their people when the country's inflation rate is increasing and economic struggles are rampant. I can only do my best, and I hope my country will think that it is enough.
In March of 2008, your government introduced a new taxation system for agricultural exports, which resulted in the levies on soybean exports rising. Many farming associations were displeased, and it led to many protests across the country. In retrospect, do you think you could have dealt with this issue better than you did?
I sent the project of sliding scale taxation for agricultural exports to the National Congress to be validated as a national law. It was approved by the lower chamber and sent to the Senate, which resulted in a tie. Julio Cobos, our vice president, then voted against the project to break the tie. I was not about to make myself nervous over those protests, and nobody else could either.
You've had constant criticism for simply working to continue your husband's policies. Do you feel they are your own?
Even though my husband was my closest advisor, every decision I make reflects my own personal beliefs and values. I think many Argentines would like to think my husband influenced me more than he did. Because of Argentina's clear machismo identity, I believe it makes many people feel more comfortable with their government's decisions if they think they're coming from a man. I can't change this overnight. I can only hope to make small steps towards defeating this rationale.
Well, it is apparent that you have successfully dealt with the obstacles throughout your presidency thus far, and have proved to be a decisive leader pushing for positive social reform. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is CTV News Vancouver. Thank you and have a good night.